Chances are your favorite guitar players are playing licks that are long, flowing, and seemingly endless. And you're probably wondering, how the heck are they doing that? Are they really remembering all those notes? In this video, we're going to take a look at what's really going on behind the scenes and get you to create your own flowing licks that connect seamlessly and almost effortlessly. Let's check it out. The best way to view constructing these sort of licks is to treat it as if it were words of a sentence or phrases of a conversation. You ever notice that when you speak, you don't really think about each word anymore? Or you don't think about which letters go into each word as you're talking. You had to do that in the beginning, or else, you wouldn't be able to spell and read and write and all that. But it gets to a point where your conversational flow is automatic. All you have to do is think of the general thought and then get it out. That is what's going on behind the scenes, meaning in your brain when you're constructing licks like this. Each lick could be a short fragment, let's say 4 to 8 notes, that's thought of as a loop or a single idea that you could loop. And the idea is you practice these loops over and over and over and over again. After each one of those little motifs becomes automatic and ingrained because you've practiced them so much, they are now for you to use at your will. They're now a word or a phrase that you've practiced so much that you not only know how to pronounce it, but you know exactly when to use it. And that's what these phrases become. So here's an example based around a pentatonic tonality. We'll do this in A minor, and this should illustrate the kind of thing that goes on when creating these longer licks. So let's take one of those little motifs that we were talking about. Let's say this 5-note grouping. So if you're familiar with shape 1 of the minor pentatonic in the key of A, you'd be at the 5th fret and you'd be doing A and C, which is the 5th and 8th fret on the E string. And yes, ignore my 7th string for now. Then on the 5th string, we'll do 5 and 7, which gives you D and E. But then we're going to go back to C on the 8th fret 6th string. So that'll complete your 5-note motif. Generally, I like to hybrid pick that a little bit. So I'll do a downstroke on the first note, hammer the second, pluck with my middle finger on the right hand, the 5th fret on the 5th string, and then I'll hammer the 7 on the same string. So be pick, hammer, pluck, hammer. And then I'll pick the final note, 8th fret, 6th string. And again, that is a loop. You can play that endlessly, you can move it around. Yeah, that's the basic idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize that motif to create a slightly longer phrase that'll go like this. So it's basically 2 rounds of the idea, string 6 and 5, then 5 and 4, and then I'm going to just end it with 2 notes to give it a nice even number. Now at this point you could continue through and play the motif again all the way through your string set, but after a while you're going to realize that it can be very predictable sounding if you overdo it. So at this point you might want to interject another little motif that again could be loopable, like this one. So we're staying within the pentatonic. It's going to be a 6-note idea where we have C on the 3rd string 5th fret, and then we're going to descend 2 notes, A to G on the D string, and it's going to give you that so far. Then we're going to go a note above our beginning note. We're going to go above the C to D, and we're going to descend 3 notes. So the way to look at this particular group of notes is you have a note, and then you're going to play 2 notes below it, and then you're going to go up a note and do 2 notes below it. So it's like going down 3 steps and then up, and then down 3 and then up. In and of itself, it's loopable. And again, you could do this on any set of strings. So what we're going to do here is we're going to connect a couple rounds of that to our previous lick. So I did strings 3 and 4. And then I'm going to generally use the same idea between strings 2 and 3. And this is going to give me E on the 5th fret B string, a D to C pull on the 3rd string. Then I'm going to go a note in the scale above the initial note. The initial note was E. The next available note in that scale is G. So I'm going to start on G and play 2 notes down. So that'll be G, pull to E, and then land on D on the 3rd string. That sort of idea. So far, if you connect everything we have our 2 groups of 5. I'm going to add 2 notes at the end to kind of give it a nice ending point. And then we go right into that. So at this point, you can start to see how these can create longer lines, but so far it's only 2 ideas. It's this and this. We're just expanding upon it. We're running with each one and eventually connecting them. Okay, let's expand it a little more. I'm going to use a little, I'll call it a connector. It's not even a lick. You could loop it, I suppose, but I'm just using this to get to the next area of the fretboard that I want to find myself in. So I'm just going to play D, slide to E, G, hammer A. Now I'm going to play C here, and that's going to allow me to then play another phrase, which is kind of interesting. So here we have a few more notes. This is an 8-note pattern. It's 4 notes from E, descending, and again we're staying within the A minor pentatonic scale. So it's going to be E at the 12th, D at the 10th, E and C at the 8th, landing on A, 2nd string 10th fret. So that's scale-wise. That's very stepwise motion down the scale. For the remaining 4 licks, I'm going to do more of an intervallic jump, where we end up skipping notes to complete the phrase. So that's C, roll to G, both across the 8th fret, strings 1 to 2. Once you're on the G, hammer the A, and then grab E on the 3rd string 9th fret. You could think of that as a loop. Right, you could move that around as well. But when you connect it to the previous part, we've got that. Now I just move that motif to the next set of strings, strings 2 to 4, and I shifted it down to more of the original starting position. So everything put together, you end up with that. So quick review, you got your 2 groups of 5. An extra 2 notes at the end to give it a nice rounded number. Then we had our groups of 6. The initial one is this, and then we moved it here. And from there, I slid into what we'll call the connector. And then our final sequence one time there, and then here. Same idea. And you can see how this can keep going and going and going. And the more of these little phrases, these little motifs that you know, that you would sit there and practice. For example, the more of these little things that you have under control to the point where they're automatic, you are going to find yourself connecting them almost intuitively, and you'll just start to organically connect these together. And that's really what those guys are doing. If it looks easy, it's because they got it to a point where it is. And that's pretty much what you need to do. So start learning these and start grafting them together in whatever way suits you.